What's up, my cronies? Welcome back to Let's Play Gunman's Proof. This is episode 6 of the Let's Play, I believe, and we are halfway done with the game. At the end of the last video, we talked to the Chinese merchant and bought a scuba set, which will let us swim, so I figure there's a beach to the south of town. Why not try swimming right now? Now, the way swimming works in this game is pretty annoying. I mean, it looks basically the same as swimming in any top-down game like this, once again going back to Zelda. And just like in Zelda, you mash the A button to swim a little faster. However, if you don't mash the A button, you will do this. You basically eventually stop, and no matter what direction you press, you will not swim. You'll just float there in the water, and you have to mash pretty often, if I remember correctly. Anyway, we swam out to sea to talk with this guy, Tenkai, who's the brother of the martial artist who taught us the big punch back in episode 3 or 4, a while ago. And he teaches us something that isn't really too helpful. It's like a 1-2 combo kind of punch. I think it really just lets us punch a little bit faster than normal. And rather than swimming back, I'll once again use the magic of editing to cut back to town. Really, the only thing that I did other than swim back to town was stop by the little shop that's on the shore, and all it really sold was food that would help restore some health, but as you can see, I'm at full health. So I didn't need to buy anything, and really it's pretty pointless. So, just stopping to talk with Garo. He tells us about the place we're going to, which is the abandoned mine. And also, if you noticed, as I was pressing the A button to scroll through the text and to pick my selection of what to talk to him about, it actually used up some ammo, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, now that we can swim, we can access new areas of the world map. And fortunately, we don't have to swim too far this time. So from here, we'll go north a little bit, and I believe the abandoned mine is pretty close. Guess I'll stop to... Oh yeah, I'll stop to pick up the new weapon I picked up, the drill hand, which is, I guess, our first punching weapon. The others were just shooting weapons, and honestly, the punching weapons aren't that helpful at all. I mean, the drill is a lot better than the one we'll unlock after beating this dungeon, but I really never use them or even really think to use them. So this is the abandoned mine, which has some kind of funky, weird-sounding music. And this is a pretty straightforward, linear dungeon. There are some branching paths, but they all kind of circle about and all meet back at the same spot. But these first couple rooms are very, very linear. You can easily tell where to go. Except here, there's a path, but if you go to the right, you'll find a treasure chest with no other path leading out, and you'll find a health upgrade, which is very nice, and also kind of interesting to find a health upgrade actually inside a dungeon that you don't get from fighting a boss. Usually they're scattered about in treasure chests on the world map or something like that. This one's actually inside of a dungeon, which is kind of interesting. So anyway, nothing too challenging. Some more of the classic enemies, and I managed to pick up a machine gun. Probably just walked into it a little too quickly. Probably didn't mean to pick it up, but whatever. Eventually, just like the third dungeon, I think? You end up out in the world map, but there's nothing to get if you were to go in between the two things. So just continue on, and you'll talk to this guy, who demands $300 in order to move on. Well, being the sensible folks that we are, we're gonna explore everything else and see if that's our only option to move on. Spoilers, it is. But that's not going to stop us from exploring the rest of the dungeon anyway. And look, we've already found a treasure chest, which contains our first treasure of the dungeon. A lowly goblet. Doesn't even really look golden or anything. It's just a cup. But whatever. And this is one of those paths that I was talking about that kind of just loops around, and eventually we'll get back to the room with the mysterious man blocking the way. Too bad we couldn't just bust out our crucifix to move him out the way, like the blocking ghost from earlier. Some skillful dodging, and we actually find $500, which will more than finance our trip through the dungeon. Also interesting to notice, there were actual locked doors in that room that would, well, I mean, I guess there's rooms like this that have locked doors that you have to kill the enemies, but I'm not really used to seeing them in a room as big as the one that we just came out of. And this is another path that kind of loops around and will eventually take us back to the other locked door in that room, which will close behind us when we come out. But first, a bit of treasure, I believe, in this room. Or in the next room, maybe? Yes. And what is it? A golden bar. Well, that'll be worth a lot of money today. Not so sure about the Wild West. I mean, I guess so, seeing as how this is a mine and stuff. It's probably somewhere, some town founded by the gold rush. And we're back to the room we started in. I guess the only path to go is to the right. And I think down is the direction we need to go. Not sure if there's any treasure to the right. And look, I accidentally picked up a shotgun. Wonderful. Only the worst weapon in the game. And here we find 10,000 yen, and I can't help but wonder if in the Japanese version of this game, I guess that would be yen since it is kind of set in the Wild West of America. So I guess you probably found dollars throughout the game, so kind of interesting to find yen. I mean, what was it doing in the Wild West? I'm pretty sure there weren't a lot of Japanese people. And I guess I'm done with this little loop around. Going back the way I came in. And I'm not sure if there's anything else I need to do. I think there is. I'm just going the long roundabout way of doing it, unfortunately. Yeah, I am. Wonderful. So I think there's actually another treasure chest with some more money in it, like actual money, not treasure. Which will give us a good amount of money, just in case we have to spend more at a later date. And not that we were hurting for money anyway. And yeah, I think if you were to go to the... Let's see. Do I make the whole loop again? Because I think that's where I was earlier. Yeah, as you can see from the map, I've completely now looped around. And I'm right back where I was before. And I once again picked up a machine gun. You know, I think from here on out, the dungeons are all fairly linear. Really, after the ghost town. The ghost town was really the only long, winding dungeon. Anyway, we talked to this guy. And I guess we'll have to pay him the $300 to move on. Sadly. Something kind of suspicious about that guy, though. And sure enough, we see him again. Just one room later. Now we have to pay $600 to move on past this room. There seems to be something similar about him. I guess we'll figure it out later. And sure enough, we see him again just a little bit later, but there is a little bit more to explore here, so we're gonna do that. And that room leading to the right would take us to the boss, I believe. And I kind of do wish I had the flamethrower here, because having to shoot multiple enemies just standing still is kind of frustrating at times. With a flamethrower, you can kind of just shoot wherever you need to. See, like right there. I could have just easily walked down and shot that guy. I should have taken the flamethrower. Why didn't I? Anyway, we've come to another upgrade, and finally we get another upgrade to our starting gun. Well, our main fallback weapon. And this is the final upgrade we'll get for it. It's the Magnum, the strongest gun in the game. Well, the strongest sidearm. Nothing can beat the bazooka, in my opinion. But the Magnum is very nice to have, especially for this boss of this dungeon, which you'll see in just a few minutes. So actually, I think I said that this path will lead up to the boss right now. I think I lied, and actually it just leads to more exploring to do. But now we have to pay $1,200, so it's looking like we're having to pay double what we paid before every time we see this guy. And I think we do have to... Actually, I don't know. I don't think we have to pay him anymore, actually. So I guess this does technically lead to the boss, but it also leads to more treasure and more exploring. And we found another treasure. A diamond. Another real-life commodity, which would actually be worth some real money. But in this game, it's just points. Take out that little snake. The only annoying thing about having a weapon like the drill on my hand is that... Alright, I think here, the reason I enter and leave the room a couple times is because I know the boss is right near, and I'm trying to get the bazooka. So I'll wait for that here. But yeah, having a drill on your hand for a punch that's limited, obviously, is kind of annoying because for the small enemies like the snakes, you just kind of want to punch them just to get them out of the way so you don't have to waste real ammo, but you can't because you have the drill on your hand. And there's no real way to switch weapons. But anyway, we found this guy again. It turns out he's the boss. And it turns out he's actually the same ghost that we fought in the ghost town, Suzuki. There he is with his little leprechaun hat and vest. And he calls up his trusty old weapon store, One Parts Shoot. And he's basically taking all the money we paid him in order to buy a giant mech robot. And this is probably the hardest boss in the game, and spoiler alert, the only other time in the whole Let's Play where I will actually die. Which you'll see on the second form of the boss. Robot kind of looks like him too, what with a green hat and wearing the vest and all. Anyway, this first part is relatively self-explanatory, except I got hit way more than I probably should have. But, you just shoot the hands and eventually they'll explode. You dodge the hammers, obviously, as they do a lot of damage. I think they did 2 whole circles of health per hit. But here's what really makes the boss hard. Comes back down and gets some brand new arms, with guns on them, of course. And now he just walks back and forth shooting things. And if I've never talked about how janky sometimes the dodging can be in this game, here's a perfect example. Some of these shots you'll see I'll be like perfectly in between them, or so it looks. And I'll get hit anyway, like right there was one. When he's farther back it's okay, but when he's up close it's almost impossible to dodge. I mean, unless you're standing in one of the opposite corners, but with a weapon like the bazooka you can't really do anything about it. Also, it looks like a lot of my shots are hitting the front tire, thus making the bazooka not that great of a weapon for this fight. Another annoying thing is when you're charging up your main gun for the charge shot, which is really one of the only ways I can really think to hit it, or hit the arms rather. If you get hit, of course, it stops your charge. So dodging when he rolls up close and shoots at you is kind of annoying. See, that arm ate so many shots of the bazooka and still never died. I really think this is probably definitely a boss you don't want the bazooka for. I probably should have taken something like... I don't know what I would have taken, what I would have enjoyed to have. because nothing really seems like it would be that helpful against it except for the main revolver, or I guess now the Magnum. Which, as you can probably kind of see, the shots are significantly larger, which is nice. You don't have to aim as well. You just kind of shoot off and you're good. And this boss takes forever. Finally, I've destroyed one of the hands, or the last hand. And now the boss itself rolls back and forth and shoots at me, which can also be kind of difficult to dodge. And the best strategy I found was just to stand down in the corner and just shoot diagonally at it. You'll hit it more than it hits you, or you can throw a couple bombs at it, which I'm now out of bombs, and about to die again. But fortunately, so is he, I believe. And there he goes. I finally destroyed the boss, managed to die almost 3 times. And when I fought this boss the first time, I actually died twice as well. I figured, oh, that's fine. Whenever I record it, I'm not going to die a second time. But sure enough, I did. Anyway, we kill the boss, and he gives this whole spiel about how one day we're going to see him again. And so, unfortunately, I mean, spoilers, but we actually do not see him again. I was actually kind of disappointed, especially in the final dungeon, which is basically a boss rush. You don't see Ghost Suzuki ever again, which made me kind of sad. But whatever. Take your hard-earned reward, your 5th Demi-Seed crest, and get out of the dungeon as soon as it totals up your points. Rank C. I deserve like a rank F for that performance on the boss fight. But whatever. It's over, and that's all that counts. It gives me my 1-up, which didn't make up for the 2 lives I lost, but all the other lives I have are more than enough to... And you cannot jump down, it seems, which means I'll have to walk through the entire first part of the dungeon again. Yeah, see, there's nothing up here. And why wouldn't I realize that I can't jump down? There we go. Alright, looks like it's going to be a rather long trek back with our base weapon. At least there aren't difficult enemies in this first part of the level. And that it's very linear. And I still just walked right into that guy. Terrible. Alright, found a weapon. Good. Now I can hopefully get out of here faster. I think I was gonna wait for a flamethrower right there, but just decided, nah, I'm just gonna go back to town. I'll find a flamethrower some other day. And also, these guys are a relatively new enemy, which actually have flamethrowers of their own, which do quite a bit of damage. I think they take off one entire circle of damage, and also stun you for a little bit because you have to go through the whole being burned animation. But regardless, we've made it back to town relatively intact. So now, obviously, we're just going to go collect our reward, talk to the Chinese merchant, and go to the gun store to get the final weapon upgrade, which is sadly another punch upgrade, and it's a lot worse than the drill. Okay, so there are 2 towers to the north, a stone tower and a wooden tower. And we're gonna have to figure out a way to swim up a waterfall. So 1,400. Alright, let's see. So he charged us 300, then 600, then 1,200. So that's a total of 2,100 if I'm doing my mental math correct. We found 500 in a chest and got... I forget how much. Was that 1,400 she gave me? The Chinese merchant didn't have anything for me. So did we find two treasure chests with money in it? I don't remember. Whatever. I was trying to see if we came out at a net profit or loss. Because being the business major that I am, I have to always think about such things. fact, I just finished up a project the other day where I had to analyze Amazon.com's financial statements from last year, which took forever. Anyway, he's taught us all the weapons he knows how to use, and he saved the worst for last. Unless you count the shotgun, but I think we learned to use the shotgun and the machine gun at the same time. Anyway, regardless, we've come to the end of the video. I'm just gonna talk to my parents first and then go save. So check back in a couple days for the next episode where we'll take on the wooden tower, the first of the 2 towers. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a great day.